Hello and welcome to Japan Lyric Room.
It's wonderful to have you with us.
In this program, we really like to savor the lyrics of Japanese songs, exploring the meanings, the things hidden in the phrases and the unique cultural backgrounds behind them. And we try to do it in a way that's, well, easy to understand.
And we have a truly special piece to look at today. Very delicate.
We really do. Today, we're going to be gently stepping into the world of the song Lulu by the band Mrs. Green Apple.
Lulu. It's a fascinating title for a really, really profound song. And for anyone listening who follows anime, this track has a very significant place. It was written specifically as the opening theme for the second season, or the second core, of the TV anime, Frieren, Beyond Journey's End.
That is such a huge series, and the context here is just everything. This song came out in 2026, and it actually symbolizes what the band Mrs. Green Apple, they call it their Phase 3.
Right. A new era for them.
Exactly. They've always been known for their incredible range, but this song, it just feels different, more intimate maybe.
I agree.
But before we even get to the lyrics, I have to ask about that title, Lulu. It sounds so soft. Almost like a whisper.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that softness is completely intentional. The title is actually quite multi-layered, which is very typical for this songwriter.
Okay.
If we look at it linguistically, we can start in Hawaii. In Hawaiian, Lulu means calm or peace.
Oh, wow. That just sets the mood perfectly. It's almost atmospheric.
It is. But then if you look at it from, say, a French perspective, Lulu is often used as a term of endearment.
For who?
Specifically for a cute child. It's affectionate, something you'd say to someone you want to protect.
I see.
And even in English, we have the word lull, as in a lullaby, or to lull someone to sleep, to soothe or calm them down.
So across all these different languages, Hawaiian, French, English, it all comes back to this one central idea of comfort.
Exactly. It really suggests a lullaby, one that's meant to soothe a rough heart or to show kindness to someone you love.
And when you pair that idea with the world of Frieren, it just hits so hard.
It really does.
Right. For those who might not know the deep lore, Frieren is about an elf mage who lives for over 1,000 years. And the story famously picks up after she and her hero party have already defeated the Demon King.
It's not about the adventure, it's about the aftermath.
Precisely. It's a story about what happens after the happily ever after. Because Frieren lives so long, her journey with the human heroes was, well, it was just a blink of an eye for her.
Less than 1/100th of her life.
Yeah. But the song captures her looking back at that short journey. She's keeping those warm memories in her heart while she continues on her own, much longer and much lonelier journey.
It's such a beautiful, if a little melancholy, premise. The lyrics, they deal so heavily with the idea of an end or bereavement.
They do, but listening to the track, it doesn't feel like it's trying to erase the sadness or fix it.
No, and I think that's the absolute key. It's not about getting over the loss. It's about cherishing the memory. It reflects a very specific worldview where you honor the past without being trapped by it.
So you carry it with you.
You carry the weight of those memories because that weight is what proves they existed in the first place.
I think that is a perfect place to transition into the lyrics themselves. We have 7 key phrases today that really highlight the passage of time and the bonds between people.
Let's do it.
I think we should start right at the beginning because the opening line sets up this paradox that runs through the whole song.
It really does.
Let's get into the lyrics. Our first phrase talks about words left behind by someone who's gone.
It does. And it uses this really interesting physical metaphor for grief. Let me read the cultural nuance. The words you said long ago are piercing me deeply like a sharp pain now, but at the same time, they remain in my heart like a warm, flickering light.
Piercing, but also warm. That contradiction is.
Wow.
I want to ask about that word, piercing.
The Japanese verb here, sasaru, it literally means to be stabbed by something, like a thorn.
So it's painful.
Physically, yes.
Yeah.
But in modern Japanese, it's often used to say something resonated or hit home.
Like a movie that really gets to you.
Exactly. But here, the songwriter is using both meanings at once. The piercing is the sharp pain of loss, but it's paired with remaining, which implies the warmth of salvation.
So the memory is a thorn that hurts you, but it's also the only thing keeping you warm.
That's the paradox. You can't have one without the other. To remove the pain, you'd have to remove the memory, and you can't do that. You choose to keep the thorn.
You choose the pain. That's heavy. Okay, moving on to our second phrase. The song shifts from memory to the nature of connection itself. This one touches on human curiosity and how we always seem to want more than we have. Here is the cultural nuance. Just knowing you should have been enough to make me happy, yet human beings inevitably end up seeking tangible answers or something in return beyond that.
This phrase is quite philosophical. It uses a grammar pattern that roughly translates to, the more I know, the more. It speaks to a kind of greedy cycle.
This connects so directly to Frieren's character arc, doesn't it? Her whole goal in this new journey is literally to know humans.
Precisely. She realized too late that she didn't know enough about her friend Himmel, so she wants to understand the people she traveled with now that they're gone.
Right.
But the lyric points out a very specific human trait, what we might call saga, or one's nature, and that is that curiosity. Well, it rarely stays pure.
How so? Why can't we just be happy knowing someone exists?
Well, initially, just knowing someone is enough. You meet them, you find them interesting.
Yeah.
But the more you know them, the more you start to expect things.
You want answers.
You want answers, you want a defined relationship, you want something tangible in return for your affection. The lyric is quietly admitting that even innocent curiosity tends to turn into attachment or desire.
It's a very honest admission. We always want a little more. Like, I know you, but now I want you to understand me, or I want you to stay with me.
Right. It's the tragedy of intimacy. You can't get close to someone without eventually wanting something from them, even if it's just their time. And that desire creates the potential for loss.
And that fear of loss brings us directly to the third phrase. I think this is one of the most emotional parts of the song. It plays with the idea of staying versus leaving, and it uses the Japanese language in a way you can't really do in English.
Oh, I love this part. It's a masterclass in using particles.
Let's have a look. Here's the cultural nuance. I won't go anywhere. I won't abandon you. No, the truth is, my memories of you are so strong that I've become unable to go anywhere else right.
The magic of this line in Japanese, it really comes down to two tiny little sounds at the end of the sentences. Yo and ne.
Ah, Japanese sentence ending particles. They're always so tricky for learners. So what's the specific emotional difference between them here?
So yo is like an exclamation point. It's a strong declaration of will. When the singer says, I won't go anywhere, ending with yo, it sounds like a promise. I am staying right here. You can count on me. It's encouraging strong.
Okay, so that's the hero part of the feeling. I'm not leaving you.
Right. But then the lyric immediately shifts. The next line says, I can't go anywhere, and it ends with ne.
Ne.
And ne is used when you're seeking agreement or confirmation. It's softer, it reveals vulnerability.
So it goes from I won't leave you to something like I actually can't leave you, can I?
Exactly. It just exposes this shaking heart. It shows that the singer isn't just staying out of kindness or strength. They're staying because the memory of the other person is holding them there.
They're tethered.
They're tethered. It's a shift from strength to fragility in just a few syllables.
That vulnerability is just heartbreaking. It feels like they're afraid that if they move on physically, they'll lose the connection mentally. Like, if I leave this spot, do you disappear?
Yes. It's the realization that I'm not staying for you. I'm staying for me because I cannot bear to let you go.
Which, that leads perfectly into the fourth phrase. If the last line was about being stuck in one place, this one is about the fear of the journey actually ending. It's the fear of finding what you're looking for. Here's the nuance. I'm afraid that if I find the answer I've been searching for, the purpose of the journey or the essence of love, this precious time and connection might suddenly snap and disappear.
This is such a complex feeling, especially for a story that's all about a quest. The Japanese phrase used here includes chichaiso, which is a casual conversational way of saying te shimo.
And for our listeners, shimo implies something happening completely or often with a sense of regret, right?
In this context, it definitely leans toward regret, an unintended result. Sadly, it will end up happening. The lyric is expressing a fear that if the search ends, if the answer is found, then the journey itself is over.
That's a profound paradox. You go on a journey to find an answer, but finding the answer kills the journey.
Exactly. Think about Frieren. She's journeying to understand the human she loved. But if she one day says, okay, I fully understand them now, does that mean her connection to them is finished? Does that mean they're finally, truly gone?
Wow.
This phrase just captures the loneliness of completion. It shows a deep love for the process, the searching itself, rather than the result.
It's like when you're reading a book you love and you start slowing down near the end because you just don't want it to be over.
That is a perfect analogy. You want to know the ending, but you don't want to reach the ending. The singer is saying, I want to know, but I'm terrified that knowing means goodbye.
It reminds us to value the now. even if the now is full of uncertainty. Speaking of which, the fifth phrase brings nature into the picture. We move from these internal feelings to the environment. Here's the nuance. If the world becomes a gentler, more peaceful place, will this sadness and regret finally be healed?
Here we see the phrase deshoka, which means, I wonder if, or do you suppose?
It sounds like a question, but not one that really expects an answer from anyone.
No, it's rhetorical. It's mixed with this modest hope. And notice the imagery here. The wind.
The wind is a huge motif in Frieren. It's everywhere in the anime, blowing through the grass, moving hair.
It is. The wind symbolizes the changing of seasons, the passage of time, and in Japanese folklore, it often represents the carrying of souls. So by asking if a gentle wind will change things, the singer is expressing this innocent wish.
They're not trying to fix their sadness with effort anymore.
No. They're trusting their fate to nature.
It's like saying, I can't fix this hole in my heart myself, so I just hope the world will eventually help me.
Precisely. It's a surrender to the flow of the world. It's admitting some things are just too big for one person or one elf to handle alone. You just have to wait for the wind to change.
And that flow leads us to maybe the grandest concept in the whole song. The sixth phrase takes us from the wind all the way to the stars. This is where the song zooms out from personal grief to something universal. Here's the cultural nuance. Everyone has a place where their soul belongs. We are all part of the cycle of life, born from the same star and eventually returning to it, regardless of our race.
This is the ultimate salvation phrase of the song. You have to remember, in the story, Frieren is an elf. She lives so much longer than humans.
Right.
So there's this constant underlying loneliness that she can't return to the same place as her friends because their times are so different. They die, she lives on, they're separate.
It's a biological barrier. They can never truly be equals in time.
Exactly. But this lyric, it bridges that gap. It uses the phrase, descendants of this star.
Descendants of this star. That sounds so unifying, like we're all cousins or something.
It is. It implies that whether you're a human, an elf, a dwarf, whatever you are, you're a child of the same planet. You're all part of the same cycle of life.
You come from the star and you return to the star.
Yes. So even if their lifespans are different, one is 100 years, one is 1,000, their origin and their destination are exactly the same.
That really elevates her personal loneliness into a magnificent view of life itself.
It's saying we are different, but we are the same. It's a beautiful way to find connection when a physical presence just isn't possible anymore. It suggests death isn't separation, but a return to the same source.
That really changes the perspective. It's comforting. And finally, we have the seventh phrase. After all this philosophy, the paradoxes, the fears, the connection to the stars, the song comes back to a very human, very small reaction. Here's the nuance. There may be nights in the future when you cannot bear the loneliness and end up crying, but that is only natural.
This is just such a gentle way to close the thought process. The Japanese grammar here uses
koto mo aru deshu, which translates to something like, there will likely be times when.
yes. It's a gentle conjecture about the future. It's not a command. It doesn't say don't cry. It doesn't say you must be strong. And it certainly doesn't promise you'll never be sad again.
Which is such a relief. So often, songs about moving on tell you to dry your tears and look at the sun and smile.
This one does the opposite. It essentially gives you permission to cry. It says, in the future, there will be days when you are overwhelmed by loneliness, and that's okay.
It accepts the future self completely, tears and all.
Exactly. It's validating the sadness rather than trying to fix it.
It feels like a hug. Like someone sitting next to you saying, yeah, it's gonna hurt sometimes and that's fine.
It really is the most compassionate message in the song.
Yeah.
It acknowledges that healing isn't a straight line. You can believe in the scars and the cycle of life, but you can still have a bad Tuesday night where you just miss your friend.
And that doesn't mean you failed.
Not at all.
So we've looked at these 7 phrases, from the piercing words of the past to the comforting acceptance of tears in the future. How would you summarize the emotional journey of Lulu?
I would call it a prayer. It's a song that blends mourning with the laws of nature, the wind, the stars, the cycle of life, and it acknowledges that contradiction we spoke about right at the start.
The pain that pierces is also the warmth that remains.
That's the one. It doesn't ask us to resolve that contradiction, just to live with it gently. For anyone learning Japanese, this song offers a view of love that goes beyond simple vocabulary. It transcends time, it transcends species.
It finds beauty in the fact that we remember people, even when it hurts.
Savoring the lyrics was really the right way to describe this one.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for listening again today.
We really appreciate it. And remember, we pick up all sorts of Japanese songs and we update our website with really detailed explanations.
That's right. So if you want to, savor the lyrics even more deeply, please check out the website. The link is right there in the description. And if you like this program, please subscribe to the channel. Also, if you have any impressions or requests for songs you'd like us to cover, please let us know in the comments.
See you next time. This was Japan Lyric Room.